Okay, so here's the Mac Mini M4. It's small, like really small, and sure, the Mac Mini's always been compact, but Apple's managed to shrink it down even more this time. What's more impressive is just how capable it is despite the size. The real surprise, the base model of the Mac Mini M4 might be one of the best value Macs Apple has put out in a while. But yeah, it's Apple, so there are still a few trade-offs you should know about. In this video, we'll walk through what's new, what's still kind of frustrating, and whether the Mac Mini M4 is worth it for your setup, or if you should hold off. Let's get started. So this is the smallest Mac Apple has ever made. It's just 5 inches wide, 5 inches deep, and 2 inches tall. You can literally lose it behind your monitor. It's smaller than a roll of duct tape. We don't think anyone was asking Apple to make the Mac Mini smaller, and yet they did. And now it just looks like a tiny version of the Mac Studio. Same silver finish, same clean lines, just hilariously compact. But it's not just about the footprint. Inside this tiny shell is Apple's latest M4 chip. Now they skipped the M3 entirely for this one, and honestly, that kind of shows. It's fast. It's built on that second gen 3nm process, and this base model gives you a 10-core CPU and 10-core GPU right out of the gate. And finally, Apple ditched the 8GB of unified memory. This one ships with 16GB as the default, and yeah, that makes a big difference. SSD and RAM bandwidth also got bumped up. Things just feel quicker. The port situation is actually better too. For the first time ever on a Mac Mini, there are ports on the front. You get 2 USB-C ports and a headphone jack right up front, and it's honestly so much more convenient. No more reaching around just to plug in a thumb drive or charge something. On the back, you get 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, HDMI 2.1, Gigabit Ethernet, and the power port. If you get the M4 Pro, you'll get Thunderbolt 5 and support for 3 6K displays. But on the base model, 2 displays work totally fine. There's also Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3 on board. No Wi-Fi 7 though, so if you're trying to future-proof your networking, well, not this year. Now look, we gotta talk about the power button. It's on the bottom now. Not the side, not the back. The bottom. Like under the whole computer, which is a choice. You kinda have to lift the whole machine just to power it on. It's one of those classic Apple things, like the Magic Mouse charging from the bottom. Doesn't ruin the experience, but definitely gets memed. Okay, so here's the part that matters. What is it like to actually use this thing? Short version? It's awesome. We've been running this base model for everyday work, video editing, browsing, and messing around with a few light games. And the M4 just crushes normal tasks. Browsing the web, checking email, editing 4K video in Final Cut, scrubbing timelines, exporting, it's pretty smooth. And it stays silent most of the time. The fan? Barely audible. You really have to push it hard to hear anything. We tried running script Hades and No Man's Sky just to see how the M4 would handle it. And on the base model, we were seeing around 40 to 50 frames per second at 1080p. Not amazing, but very playable for casual gaming. If you're serious about gaming though, you'll want the M4 Pro version. That one pushes above 80 frames per second in those same games. But if you're doing Apple Arcade stuff, or just messing with emulators, the base M4 can totally keep up. Now creative stuff. We edited a few videos, exported them in Final Cut, and did some photo editing in Pixelmator, again, all great. The base M4 isn't made for heavy-duty 8K ProRes timelines or massive 3D rendering, but for regular content creation and productivity, it's solid. And we do want to say this, Pixelmator just got bought by Apple, which is interesting. It runs beautifully on this chip. Here is a quick demonstration of how long it takes the Mac Mini to export a 10-minute 4K video versus our regular video editing PC. The fan stayed off most of the time. There were only maybe 3 or 4 times where it even spun up audibly. And that was during long exports or AI test workloads. Thermal performance is pretty good as well. It gets warm to the touch if you leave it on for a while, but nothing that raised alarms. So, how does it compare to other options in Apple's own lineup? Now, if you're on an older Mac Mini, like an M1 or Intel, you're gonna feel a big performance bump jumping to the M4. Even coming from an M2, you'll notice it. Apps launch faster, multitasking is smoother, and the extra memory helps a lot. If you were thinking about getting a MacBook Air M3 or M4, you're getting way more power for your money here with the Mini. As long as you don't need portability, this is a better value. And compared to Windows Mini PCs? Sure, those can be more upgradable. You might get more ports. But you're not getting Apple Silicon performance or macOS optimization. For most people in the Apple ecosystem, the Mini is the better experience. So let's talk about the value. This base model is $599. If you're a student or educator, $499, thanks to Apple's education pricing, which they offer to make their products more accessible for education and to build long-term brand loyalty early on. And we're not used to saying this about Apple, but that's actually an amazing deal. It might be the best value product in Apple's entire lineup right now. You're getting the newest chip, better RAM, better thermals, more efficient power draw, all in the smallest Mac ever made. But of course, there's the classic Apple upsell ladder. If you want more than 256 gigabytes of storage, that'll be $200 extra for $512. If you want 1 terabyte, add another $200. If you want 24 gigabytes of RAM, yep, another $200. You can walk that base model price all the way up to $1,399 before even realizing it. And at that point, you're looking at a Mac Studio or MacBook Pro territory. Also, you can't upgrade anything later. RAM and SSD are soldered, so whatever config you buy, that's what you're stuck with. So, who's the Mac Mini M4 really for? If you're coming from an M1 or even an M2 chip and you're on the fence about upgrading, this might actually be the first time it's worth it. Day-to-day performance is noticeably faster, multitasking feels smoother thanks to the extra RAM, and the improved thermals make it an overall better experience. But even if you're not upgrading and just want a tiny, quiet, low-maintenance desktop that punches way above its price, this is a solid choice. It's great for students, creators, developers, or anyone looking to get into macOS without spending MacBook money. And it's perfect for a clean desk setup or a portable workstation you can take anywhere. That said, if you need tons of internal storage, or you're dealing with big SD cards and need that slot built in, or you just want crazy GPU performance, you'll probably want to look at a Mac Studio, or wait for the next refresh there. And honestly, if the idea of lifting your Mac Mini every time to press the power button bugs you, that's valid too. So yeah, after using it daily for months, we'd say this is easily the best value desktop Mac Apple's ever made. It's clean, powerful, compact, and just works. For $599, you're getting the M4 chip, 16 gigabytes of RAM, fast SSD speeds, and near silent performance. It's not perfect, but for most people, it's more than enough.